A bad joke.
Gotta get quieter seats.
I know, they make...
So loud.
This one's pretty okay.
Oh, mine's
Different brand.
really loud.
It is. I can hear it.
Welcome back, everybody, to...
Tokusatsu Girlfriend.
Yeah, I was hoping you would pick that up.
After like a few seconds of silence, I was like, oh, he probably wants me to say it. Okay, I'll say it.
Well, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back.
We are picking back up our podcast, Tokusatsu Girlfriend.
Yay! Oh, I'm so excited. Sorry.
I'm Squall, Charlson, no worries.
I'm Laur. Very excited still.
And we are going to wrap up our GARO episodes that we were doing. So we split the series in half. We did the first episode, and then we took like, what, a 10-year sabbatical?
I think so. It was roughly 10 years, yeah.
And then we came back. But yeah, so far in our absence, what we've been up to, actually, I did a show with Shout Factory called Let's Talk Toku.
You may have heard of it.
Yeah. If not, no worries. Lauren was the first guest on the very first episode. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons why we got the show was because we were doing this podcast and wanted to come back and do some more. But, you know, we had a lot of difficulties and a lot of just frustrating things going on in the fandom. Like, I was getting under attack, you know, by a lot of things. I know Lauren got kicked out of the fandom.
That sounds so final and serious.
The women of Tokusatsu said, no more, you're out.
Well,
one did.
It was one. Just one.
Who literally has no say in anything. Anyway, but yeah, we're back with Tokusatsu Girlfriend. I hope you guys haven't missed us, or... You know, maybe.
No, I hope you did miss us, because I missed you guys.
I didn't mean it like that. I meant like, hopefully you guys, you know, like weren't sad we were gone.
Right.
Because we were, you know, got to come back. And it was always up to Lauren. It was always up to whether or not she wanted to come back and do more, just because of everything she's seen kind of going on in the fandom, Twitter side. You know, I just didn't want to exploit her or push her to doing that kind of stuff.
Yes, and I want to make it clear, since that is apparently a point of contention that has come up, and one of the reasons why I didn't want to do the podcast there for a while was the notion that Squall is exploiting me and he's forcing me to do this for content and likes and money, which I assure you there's no money. No. No, I love doing this. It's really fun to be able to work with Squall, my boyfriend. I mean, who wouldn't want to work with their significant other and someone that makes them laugh all the time? It's really, really fun. I'm normally a very quiet, shy, insecure person, but this makes me feel like I have a voice. You guys make me feel like you want to hear what I have to say. I feel like I have made friends with you all. And it's nice. I'm only here talking with Squall, but then we get to see the comments and people will reach out to me on Twitter. And it makes me feel like, yeah, even though I'm just sitting here talking with Squall, you're talking to everybody. In the bigger picture, I am talking with everyone. I'm talking with you. So it does make me feel like I do have friends, as cheesy and silly as that sounds. And I really enjoy doing this. It helps me to come out of my shell a little bit. And I appreciate that. I appreciate you all for letting me do that. So thank you. And thank you for hopefully welcoming me back to this. I'm so excited.
I think what's really nice, I've seen a lot of comments, you know, from when we started to even, you know, when we had our absence, a lot of people who are watching the series that you were watching, that we were watching, and just kind of watching along with us, or, you know, not even have to, you know, watch it. Like, they could just listen to our podcast and immediately, oh yeah, I'm back on Forza episode 41. Oh yeah. You know, like they could easily jump back into that.
Right.
One other thing I wanted to mention to all the viewers who maybe don't follow us on Twitter, who maybe don't know, one of the other big things that happened during the absence was Lauren went back to school and she is now officially a paralegal.
Yes, that was another big reason I went back to school for law, which, guys, I don't know if you know this, but studying the law is hard. It's time consuming and confusing and scary. But that is another big thing that I did during our absence while Squall was super busy with Let's Talk Toku and everything that encompassed, because it was a lot.
Too much.
Well, he was, interviewing or scheduling interviews or editing and doing literally every little detail. I was back in my little office area, hitting the books and studying law, and I graduated, and now I am officially a paralegal. So that's very exciting, and I'm very, very happy. And it was because of Squall and Let's Talk Toku that I was able to do that.
Yeah, paid for your school.
Yeah,
it's pretty
Squall
nice.
literally used some of the money that he got from Let's Talk Toku to literally pay my entire school bill, which is insane to say the least. So it's because of Let's Talk Toku, and therefore in a roundabout way, Tokusatsu Girlfriend, that I was able to have the opportunity to go back to school to study law.
And now you have your own office.
I have my own office. I have a career that I've always wanted to pursue. So in a way, Tokusatsu Girlfriend.
Dreams come true on this podcast.
Yeah, for real. If it weren't for Tokusatsu Girlfriend, we would have never have had Let's Talk Toku, and I would have never have been able to, potentially go back to school and pursue my career that I've always wanted to. So thank you guys. Seriously, thank you.
Yeah, if you guys are listening, thank you so much for coming back, for all the new listeners, for all the returning listeners. I'm just sorry, one more thing, before we hop into GARO, and this episode's probably not going to be the longest just because we watched a big chunk of these episodes and then we went on our sabbatical, and then we sat down with one of our friends, Kiara, who was, if you remember from the stream, was the one that got GARO into the running, basically pushed it across the finishing line, just did everything she could.
She was our financial backer. Yeah,
she really wanted us to watch GARO, and I feel like a lot of comments were really happy that GARO did win. Like, a lot of people finally were like, okay, I'm going to watch GARO. This is awesome.
It really was. Oh my God. I mean, I know we'll get into this, but oh my God, GARO is so good. I love it.
But we had so much going on that the podcast app that we were using to upload and distribute was charging us a monthly fee. But because we weren't doing any, and I wasn't sure if Lauren wanted to kind of come back into this, I let that lapse, thinking, oh yeah, I could pick that up, and all the episodes would still be there. They were not.
Oh.
And so I had to upload on a new hosting site that is going to be a lot easier to manage from now on out. So if you're seeing this podcast and it only has episodes 7 and now this one 8 for GARO, that's because I re-uploaded our GARO episode and then did this one so that any new listeners wouldn't just be like, well, where's the other half of GARO? Otherwise, every other episode or, all the ones that were there, they're all still on YouTube. They're going to be there. They're not going anywhere. But for anybody new who doesn't know, there you go. Anyway, let's talk about the last half, episodes 13 through 25 of GARO season 1.
Okay.
So I quickly went through the Wikipedia, and I also pulled up all the episodes and kind of just skimmed through them just to jog my memory a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I'm
again,
need some help too.
It's been over a year since we watched those, and we just sat down the other day with Kiara to watch the last 5. So episode 13 was a recap episode, so we can totally just skip over that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we skipped it, or I mentally skipped over it when we watched it. So
there's usually never anything new that they introduce. It's just kind of all right, and it's right in the middle. So, okay, cool. So 13 was a recap episode.
Okay.
14 was the episode with Ray Zero. Mm-hmm. And it was all about his family being murdered. Remember, he thought he was being murdered by GARO because he saw a wolf armor bastard just murdering his dad or something.
Which is such a weird thing because it's GARO is a good guy. So it's why?
And this guy's also not golden as hell.
Yeah.
He's literally the if you ever seen Scott Pilgrim, the Nega version.
Right.
So I don't get why he thought this was GARO. Maybe he thought he could change his armor color.
It just doesn't add up.
Even his dad had the little silver accents on his golden armor. It's always golden.
I don't know. I guess when you're angry and you want someone to blame, it's easy to maybe do some mental gymnastics to demonize that person, just because if he didn't have anyone, like who else could it have been?
Mhm.
You know, you've got this guy that kind of looks like him and he needs someone to blame and someone to seek revenge on. So maybe that's why.
So episode 15 was a Caro and Zero episode. So Caro, she was trying to figure out what the last page in her dad's book. So her dad was also an artist who wrote this children's book, but every book that she finds, the last page is blank, because just like me, he gets 90% of the way done and then will just quit.
That's pretty relatable.
Yeah. So she's trying to discover the secret of the last page. And so that episode's all about her. And it's also kind of a Zero episode as well. Like he's there for her when Koga isn't.
Oh,
and remember, he saves her in that episode.
He does, doesn't he?
And he kind of like, I think if I remember right, he's like, you kind of remind me of my girlfriend that I had, you know, who also died. Maybe Garo killed her too. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And then we find out his name is Ginga.
Gingamon.
Gingamon. We gotta watch that soon. It's been stuck in your head.
It has.
Episode 16, Koga, this is the one where he bet 10 years of his life on that game. Remember, there's like that one dude in like the bar or whatever that he's like, that knew his father, and he like plays his like weird like little mind game thing.
Yes, it took me a second. I'm like trying to picture him in like a legit bar, like with darts or something.
No. It's like a
what?
Japanese like,
now I
he's
remember.
got like drinks in front of him.
I do remember that. That game was, yes. Okay, I do remember, yes.
So episode 17. This is I actually really liked this one. Like as I was scrubbing through, it reminded me how much I remembered and enjoyed this episode. This is the one where they had the horror that was in the goldfish.
Yeah.
And this one was like super violent.
It was.
Just because this guy is like totally simping for this goldfish, this like mermaid horror thing, and he's like feeding all these people to it. Karu obviously going to be one of these, people who gets fed.
And doesn't she have like a really close call?
Super close. Koga saves her at the very end, and she questions how he's always there to like show up and save her, and he tells her that the bracelet he gave her is a tracking bracelet.
Oh, by the way, no big deal.
Sorry, yeah, your boyfriend's just been tracking you. As, I mean,
it comes in clutch. Like,
if you were getting attacked by like these monster things,
I would certainly want a bracelet that would alert you. To be honest, that would.
No, it doesn't alert me. It alerts Koga. I don't know what I'm gonna do against these things.
Okay, that's fine too.
Yeah,
that's fine.
If I could get that golden armor.
Yeah.
Then
no problem.
Man, we should have commissioned Ashmish to like have me in the golden armor.
Oh my gosh!
I
just want to be one of those watchdogs on a swing.
Well, I mean, if you guys have watched the show, I don't know if you still want to be one of those.
I just like their outfits and that they're able to sit down and not stand all day. Yeah,
but then when they get off the swing, you find out how ugly they really are, that it's all been a ruse this whole time. We'll get into that. So episode, I really liked 17. 18 and 19 were a two-parter episode, and this is with Jabi.
Yes.
And she steals all those like mythical blades that are like, I just like skimmed through.
No, I remember. It's crazy how much I'm remembering.
I know. I'm actually surprised. It was like a two-part episode, and then the end of that, the culmination is Jabi, who's like this like cool sort of like hot version of Garo, who's like I could see her being his girlfriend more than Kaoru. You know what I mean? Like
I get that. Yeah, she can handle that world. But that doesn't, not to speak, I can't believe I'm defending Kaoru, because I know after having listened to part 1 of our podcast for Garo, I didn't really care for Kaoru.
She grows on you.
She does grow on me. So
her big ears grow on you.
I can't believe I'm defending her right now after, spending a whole previous episode.
That was a year ago.
It was a year ago. But I think that she kind of complements Koga. With her personality, kind of the opposites attract thing. So I'm going to give her this one. But Jabi is definitely a badass. She can handle her own. I wish we would have seen more of her. It felt like we just got introduced to her and I'm like, whoa, who is this babe? She's so cool. And then they're like, all right, now she got
killed by the butler.
She did. Oh my God.
The breakdancing butler.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that was a shock. I was very disappointed to see her go. She's
not dead.
What?
I looked it up on the Wikipedia. She's still alive. She comes back. She's like a big character.
Okay, well, cool. Good for her.
And like with Jabi, with not so much Kaoru. I feel like there's a lot of sort of like more female characters than you would see.
Yeah, and I like it.
I mean, obviously you have your two main leads. It's like a common writer, and then like Kaoru's kind of like, for a lack of a better term, the girl on the series.
Yeah, and she's the love interest.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like Jabi actually like had something, and I wish she would have been in the show, or at least the season longer than just the 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like they throw this like super badass character at you. And I wanted to see more of her. She was so cool. I'm very thrilled to hear that was not the end of her, but I would have loved to have seen more of her and like more of who she is, more explanation, more backstory. I just want to see more of her.
Do you remember episode 20 at all? So it's kind of like it's like a third part to this 2-parter, but like not really, because it's doing its own thing. I keep referring to this one as like the Wizard of Oz episode, because this is the one that almost made me just like want to stop watching. And I think we actually did stop watching just like one after this.
Yeah.
Because we were watching them like back to back to back. It's the one where Koga goes into the forest and there's like all these like weird ass creatures. Like there's like an old dude tree. There's like all these things, and it like culminates with him fighting a dragon. Like
I vaguely remember this one. Very vaguely.
It doesn't, like, obviously it's 2005 graphics don't
I like that
hold up entirely well. There are some shots that are like, okay, that's pretty good. Not to mention like some really awkward stuff. Like we had like the skyscraper battle in the first half.
Yeah.
We had like where he fought that dude in like the Windows screensaver.
Yes, I remember that.
And so the dragon didn't really hold up, and it just kind of like made it feel like the show was dragging a little bit. I honestly don't remember
this one.
Yeah, it's pretty missable. 21 was really good though, and like 21 completely turned me around and was just like, okay, this show understands what it's doing and how the characters actually fit into this universe, and people around them aren't just like, you know, useless NPCs. Like they have, you know, real emotions and
right.
It's called The Magic Bullet, episode 21, which got me a pretty hearty chuckle when we first watched it. But Koga, he has to fight in this building before dawn because this man with a gun is telling him that he will die if he doesn't get to him and get through all these horrors through the building before dawn. Do you remember he's like got like that like really big brimmed hat? His like identity's kind of like hidden. He's got that gun that he shoots, and you find out at the end of it that his daughter got killed by a horror. And so he wanted to like eliminate all these, and he wanted to also like eliminate Koga, who didn't save her. And like it's this really like emotional episode, like where obviously he lost, you know, his daughter, his family, and
right.
he's so like angry at everything, obviously the things that killed her, the things that didn't save her, and so he literally lures them all there to like take them all out. He's got like this magic button, like he succumbs to darkness in order to finish this task. Do you remember that one at all?
I don't. I am so sorry. I thought maybe the reason I didn't remember the previous one was because we had decided, it wasn't very good. But now you're like, oh my gosh, this one is incredible. Again. And I'm like, oh no, I don't remember any of this. I'm so sorry.
I think it really was because we were watching like a big chunk of them back to back to back, that they all started bleeding together.
And I know we were also watching other shows at the same time.
Right. Oops. Sorry, that's for other podcast.
Office Girlfriend.
Were we watching The Office?
We were watching The Office at the same time. And that's kind of how this started to
Not
fall
to sound
off.
like a
normie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that the right word?
Well, like Lauren had never watched through all The Office, and I was like, that's a show that you can easily watch through. You know, we watch a lot of comedies like Community and Peep Show.
We were still fairly new in the apartment also.
Yeah, that's true.
So there were just a bunch of other things going on. Anyway, though, unfortunately, I don't really remember those last 2 episodes, which is crazy because I remember as you were going through all the like super older ones, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. But the more recent ones, I'm like, no.
I think that's because those episodes really have like a root in the actual main story of the series of this season, whereas these other ones are kind of more one-offs.
Okay.
But I think a lot of people get the wrong idea about like filler episodes, because some filler episodes can be beautiful, can be really good. And like scrubbing through that, I remember like, oh my gosh, I did really like this episode. But anyway, we started watching with Kiara, and we finished the last, it was 4 episodes. So with 22, it was called Mark. And this is the one where, Kara learns that she was chosen as a child. She was number 6 by like this creepy X-face dude.
Yes.
And the best part of the episode is they get this package of all these books from the local kindergarten that she painted the mural for, and they're all the books that her father made. And so she opens them up and the pages are blank again, and she's like,
she's like, oh my god, maybe finally
I'll have a proper printed one.
And no.
Nope. But Gonza finds out in one of the other books that the kids scribbled their own drawing, and they find out in all these other books, all the kids made their own drawings of what they thought the ending would be. Like if you had Ray Zero, who had his own book, he would draw one where his future would have no showers. But,
oh my gosh.
But like, I really liked that. I like that idea that maybe the page is purposefully blank.
Yeah, like it wasn't just that he didn't finish it, or it was done on purpose so that the reader could then decide the ending. And I really like that too, especially leaving it up to the kids, their
little crayon scribbles.
They're so cute too. So I really did like how they were like, no, it's up to you. The story ends how you think it should end. And I really like that.
You make your own destiny.
Yeah. And I appreciated that. And I'm like, this is making sense. Like, that's where I feel like the last part of these, like, of the whole series, of season 1, it's starting to click. Like, the ending is coming together. And that, I feel like, laid the perfect groundwork of what you can expect with these last few episodes.
So then moving into 23, this one is called Soul Ruination. This one's huge. This one's where you find out that those watchdogs, those little swing have been working with the main bad guy, the main baddie of the series. They've been working for him, and they hop off their little swings and they consume this woman, and they all combine into like his wife or something.
I don't know what she is supposed to be to.
Yeah.
What's his name?
It's Barago?
Yeah, Barago?
Barago.
Yeah, okay.
And this episode, watching this is the episode. So Zero's actor has been annoying me this entire time because I cannot place where I think I knew him. And I finally got it together on this episode. He's the equivalent of a Japanese Paul Dano.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I can absolutely see that 100. I think I was doing the same thing. I'm like, he looks somewhat familiar. He looks like someone.
Yeah, I put it together. He's a Japanese Paul Dano, who's playing the Riddler now in the new Batman movie. But you guys know who Paul Dano, I bet, if you look him up. But then we find out that Barago is also Karu's doctor, her hot doctor friend that's been like giving her treatment and all this stuff. Like, he's been literally just like overwatching her and making sure that she is like protected and ready for whatever he's going to use her for. And he kidnaps her, kicks Garo's ass, and Garo and Zero end up having to go, and save her in this weird CG building that's, I don't know why they CGI'd this building. It was weird.
Yeah.
And he's got to fight Breakdance Butler, who apparently...
Yeah, they're breakdance fighting.
Breakdance Butler is Barago and the Watchdogs'
Well, I don't necessarily know that he's Barago's son, because he even says your son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I don't think that's his son.
Oh, it might just be the Watchdog son.
But just the Watchdog.
So he's like a stepdad.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
And she's like, basically like, this isn't even his final form.
And we see his final form, and...
it's something else. It's monstrous.
And Garo cannot beat him. And we see what happens when the 99.9 seconds run out and the armor consumes him.
Because I really thought that he would just de-transform, like it would just automatically kick him out of the suit and he would just have to fight as a civilian for the rest of that time. So that was really kind of, cool, to be honest. I really didn't expect that, like, it would basically have a reaction on his body.
I feel like, they explained it with Barago before it happened with Kara, Kiba, whatever his name
yeah.
is. No, not Kiba. I'm thinking of what the hell am I thinking
Taiga?
of?
Is that his
I don't remember. Koga.
Sorry.
Yeah, like they explained what happened to Bargo, who like literally had that happen to him and it consumed his body and he became super powerful because he, submitted himself to darkness.
Right.
I feel like if they wouldn't have told us that and it just hit 0 and it didn't come off and nobody knew what would happen, like not even Ray knew what would happen.
Yeah.
And it just happened, that would have been crazy. And like, his ring would have been like, oh, this is not good,
right,
because Ray has to save him ultimately in the end. He's got to climb on him
and stab the belt,
talk at him really closely.
Yeah, which I remember saying, like, why isn't he just haphazardly just trying to strike the belt and get him out of there?
Right.
And he has like a little heart to heart with him where he's like, remember who you are, and he lifts up his blade so that Koga can see his reflection in the blade, which I feel like if you're that far gone, which he clearly looked like a straight up zombie at that point.
Mm-hmm.
If you're that far gone, I don't think holding up a blade and talking intimately and closely with anyone, especially someone who was like, mostly your enemy up until like a day ago.
Yeah.
That I feel like that's not going to do anything.
I feel like if the armor was on the other foot and Ray was going nuts, Ray wouldn't hesitate.
Right, exactly.
Paul Dano would have struck him down.
And so I don't know.
Saito Kaiba, Kiba, whatever. What is his name?
Saito
Kaiba.
Yeah. I just feel like he should have been. I mean, it worked out. So what do I know? But I was just like, why isn't he just like haphazardly just like striking the belt? Just stop wasting time by having this introspective, sweet moment.
Mm-hmm.
And remember who you are. He's not going to come out of this on his own. Just cut out the middleman, cut out the talk.
Yeah, just
which is what he does, because he doesn't come out of it on his own. He gets him to like stop climbing the building for a second, and then he does it.
Yeah,
he stabs the belt and gets him out. But it's not like Koga was like, "Wait, you're right. I am remembering who I am. What am I doing?" He's still like,
I need some lotion for all these cracks forming all over my face.
Yeah, he still is zombified, scary, like succumbing to the darkness. So I don't know. I felt like that whole remember who you are talk was pretty pointless.
I think the best part of this episode was he hits the belt, he breaks it, he frees him, Zero crashes to the ground, and Koga literally falls like 20 stories and doesn't get caught. He just hits the ground.
I really thought that Zero was going to catch him. Zero, Ray. I really thought he was going to catch him.
Nah.
But no, he's like, I'm going to get you out of this heavy duty suit that would probably cushion your fall, which I understand why he had to get him out of the suit. Don't get me wrong. But then he just falls like from the top of this skyscraper, hits the ground. That's it. And I'm like, oh, okay. Never mind. Really thought he was going to catch him or do something to soften the fall. But no, he just falls from the top of a skyscraper. And he's fine though. He's good.
Kiara was saying it was something about like their jackets, like their protective jackets. But like his head still hit the ground. His head's not wearing a jacket. I don't know. Maybe
those Kaianites are just really hard-headed.
Maybe. So episode 24 is titled Girl. And this is Zero and Garo flip. And they split. And so like the watchdogs are fighting Ray. And Garo... He goes into this room that's like a stage, and they have this giant Stargate on it, and he sees Karu there, and he goes running towards Karu, and Bargo, he just jumps out of nowhere and kicks him as if he had been like waiting there, just like trying to time it perfect.
Like, okay, any minute he's gonna jump over this and try and get her.
And he's like, hey, I called dibs on this girl when she was 5. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he was waiting though with that kick.
Yeah,
and it was a very well-timed, well-placed kick to the chest.
Zero's girlfriend, Ray's girlfriend, she comes back. We all know it's the Watchdogs, and she even calls him Ray, right? Or
she calls him
Zero.
She calls him Zero, and he's like, and we're still thinking like, no, man, obviously, because his necklace person is like, this is a fake. What are you doing? Do not be swindled. And she's like, oh my God, don't listen to your necklace. It's really me. I'm back. And she calls him Zero. And we're still thinking like, oh, come on, dude, because he's drawing her close and everything. And then out of nowhere, he's got his blade at her neck. And she's like, what are you doing? Ha, ha, ha. And he's like, you called me by the wrong name.
My real name is Steven.
And then it cuts to a memory of like
them.
Her, yeah.
Actual her.
And she's like, Ginga. So then we know, okay, that's like what she used to call him. And he's like, I am not being swindled by you, girl.
And then the watchdogs transform and kick its ass with a hula hoop.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Her form, though, like her monster form or whatever it is, her armor, so cool. I loved it. I really thought it was very badass looking.
The onesie?
Well, it's onesie and thigh-high boots and a very, very serious looking like headpiece, and I really like it.
So then back in the other room with the Stargate, Kaoru, she wakes up and she betrays Barago. She throws him into the Stargate where she gives him the highest of fives. All these.
Well, it's because she's like now possessed.
By like Messiah or whatever.
Yeah, she is no longer Kaoru. She is like possessed by the ultimate baddie.
Yeah, but Koga comes in and frees her basically with a hug.
Yeah, it's not even like the kiss of true love. It's like the hug of true love.
And then they both flee into the Stargate. And I guess like she's separated now. Like Messiah is awakened and like her soul or her body or whatever is like hidden in this like ethereal space.
Yeah.
That's like covered in all of her drawings that she's done.
Yeah.
And they look over and they see this one that's like not fully formed. And he goes, what the is that? And she's like, oh, that's the drawing that I wanted to make that I've never made before. And he eats it. It literally goes inside of him for whatever reason.
He like absorbs it. Like it's not like he puts it in his mouth and is eating it that way. He like takes, because all the paintings are like in this like white space that they're in. All the paintings are basically just like zooming past them. And just this one, he's like, what is this? Oh, that's the one I wanted to make. And he just takes it off like, I guess the wall, for lack of a better word, and just like holds it to his chest, and it just like bloop, 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 absorbs into his body. And they don't talk about it. Like she's not like, oh, why did you do that?
Thanks.
He doesn't explain like why he did it. It's just he does it, and they're just like, okay, we're not going to talk about that. Anyway,
I have no idea how the end of the episode happened because I had my eyes shut the whole time. Can you explain how the ending of the episode happened?
You had your eyes shut.
Yeah, Messiah.
Oh. Oh, okay. I was like, were you sleeping? I didn't notice you were sleeping. Okay, so to be honest, because I was taking notes because I didn't want to forget anything because I felt bad that I had forgotten, the episodes that we watched a year ago. So I was taking notes, and all I know is that I was writing down about how he absorbed her painting. And then the next thing I know, I looked up and he did tell Kaoru, I'm going to go battle Messiah in her world, in the demon realm. So hang tight. I'll be right back. And I was writing down notes, and then when I looked up, he's in the demon realm. I don't know how he got there, if there was a door, a sign saying demon realm this way. Like, I looked up, and there he is.
He got in the Stargate.
Oh, well, that's how he got to the paint realm where she was. I don't know how he went from the paint realm to
really
demon realm.
It's GARO.
I literally was taking a note, and then I looked up, and now he's in the demon realm. So I apologize, viewers, listeners. I don't know how that happened, but he was there. And then we see this topless chick.
She's not just topless.
She is pretty much entirely naked.
Yeah.
So she's massive. Like she's
demon thick.
She's so tall, and she reminds me of, for all of you Final Fantasy VIII fans,
Shiva.
she reminds me of Shiva.
Yeah.
Like she looks just like Shiva, less blue. She's more on the gray kind of color scale. But she's dressed and looks just like Shiva, and she even like blows ice. So imagine our little Koga. Koga. I'm still doing it. A year into this, and I'm still doing it. Going up against a giant version of Naked Shiva from Final Fantasy VIII. And that is what you've got. And he's going for it. Like God love him. He is thinking that he is going to take down this massive deity. It's not really happening. He's not really landing any blows. And he is still going for it. And cut back to Kaoru and
this is 25. This is episode 25 now.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I supposed to stop?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
I'm just, for the listeners, this is episode 25 now. Like, it literally ends with him charging at this naked woman.
Yeah. And then cut to episode 25, the last episode, which we watched live.
Yep. If
or
you guys
we recorded it, I should say.
Yeah. So if you're on Patreon, even at just the $1 tier, you'll have access to watching this final episode with us.
Our
and
commentary.
Kiara. Yeah, the commentary. But I edited it with the episode so you can watch the whole thing without having to queue it up yourself.
Right.
So you're welcome.
So he is charging at her. He is just giving it everything he's got. Surprising no one, he's really not making much of an impact. He is like a mosquito to Messiah.
What's going on with Karu?
So it cuts back to her in this paint realm, and she's kind of freaking out. She's like, "Oh, I'm real worried about him." And then her dad appears, and he's like, "My daughter, hey, now would be a good time to paint.
Paint your way out of trouble."
I don't know about you, Squall, but I was like, this seems like a really odd time to paint. And then her mom appears.
You must not be an artist.
I guess
it's never a wrong time to paint.
I am not.
Just ask
admittedly.
Bob Ross.
And then mom appears.
All of her drawings are happy little mistakes.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, no tea, no shade.
Well, no, her mom doesn't appear. She does the drawing, and it's Garo with wings, and the naked flies into the air. She somehow, like her high heels turn into rocket thrusters.
Oh, yeah.
And then she's got like machine guns that come out of her back to start shooting at Garo, but Garo is flying now. Like her final drawing was Garo
with wings.
And it cuts back to in this room where she finished her drawing, and her dad comes up after telling her, like, draw your way out of here. We were both thinking she was going to draw like a door.
Yeah.
And he just comes in and says, "Oh, it's okay."
Yeah. So she draws Garo with wings.
Yeah.
And that gives Garo wings. So then he is able to fly. And also her mom does appear.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. I didn't say that she didn't. I didn't. I was saying you missed a whole spot of where she drew Garo with wings.
I didn't hallucinate that. No. I know her mom appeared.
Her mom shows up too, and
and they have a tender moment.
And she also wonders why she didn't just draw a door.
Yeah, everyone is kind of like, why didn't you do that? No, that doesn't really
that's
happen.
just our headcanon.
But yeah, so then cut back to Demon Realm with Garo, and he's got wings. He is still the size of a mosquito in comparison to Messiah, who now has jets in her high heels and has taken flight. She doesn't have wings. She literally has jetpack heels. And she is zooming.
Bare ass with jetpack heels.
And they show you everything. And it doesn't really explain exactly where she's, well, I guess it does. She's heading for she's locked onto, we missed that.
Karu's like a body that she's trying to teleport out of and through this like realm. So she's like shooting all these random beams and just like killing people, I guess. They don't explain shit in this episode. They don't do anything to like tell you what the hell is going on. Well, they just expect you to know.
They said that Messiah is trying to lock on to Karu's body because Karu's the exit.
That doesn't mean shit to me.
I know, but that was their explanation. It just shows her like firing laser beams into the sky, and you're like, what's she doing? She's carving like things into the sky, and then it would cut to the real world in random places. Like one's like, I think, in a restaurant. And there's her laser beam, and it shoots someone and kills them. And so it cuts to all these different scenes in real life where her laser beam is just killing people. And then they're like, oh, by the way, this is what she's doing. She's searching for Karu out in the paint realm so that she can assumingly take her body and I guess exit.
Why doesn't she just shoot a laser beam there too? Well, why even shoot the laser beams?
I'm confused also because she had possessed Karu's body.
Yeah.
Before the paint realm.
Koga hugged her and said, "Get out." And then hit her in the paint realm. And then she located her in the paint realm. But she didn't shoot a laser at her, even though she's shooting all these lasers.
She just locked onto her.
There's no reason. There's no
She just locks onto her in the paint realm and starts...
and then Garo hits her in the head. 3, 2,
1, blast off.
Yeah.
And she is blasting off. Garo is chasing her with his new wings. And then out of nowhere, like Gatling guns come out of her shoulder blades and start firing backwards at him. Doesn't hit him. He's still good. Then inexplicably, she touches down again. Like she's like, okay, I'm done soaring. We're good. And And so he's like, okay.
We got a lot to go here. He hits her in the head with the sword and she dies. It's really anticlimactic.
You think there's going to be this massive battle.
No.
They face off. He literally jumps up, hits her in between the eyes, and that's it.
Well, the massive battle happens when he returns with Kaoru and Zero, and they fight the watchdogs again. And then
for the 1,000,000th time.
They get killed by Barago. He's back, but it's not him. He's dead. It's just his armor. And so this like thick boy armor is chasing him. And I have no idea how this happens, but the Stargate thing activates, this giant circle thing activates, and they get flung into the air, and they're in this giant CGI building, and Koga and Barago's armor, Kiba's armor, are like fighting on this disc flying through the sky, but they're somehow like 1,000,000 miles up and are just constantly it looks really bad. They're just falling and falling and falling and having this huge fight on this thing, and then it like crash lands into the side of a building, and Zero's there, he gets thrown out, and it's like supposed to be this huge epic battle, but it's just really goofy, and it finally crash lands into this ship, blows up the ship, and then they get out, and you're like, okay, here's where they're going to have their epic battle. And Garo literally just says, all the previous Garo Senkai Knights are on my side. And then he just cuts him.
That's it. He literally just, that's how it happens. They square up.
Yeah,
they finally square up, and he's like, I fight with all the Makai Knights that came before me. And Barago doesn't even get in like a little witty one-liner before he just goes, whoop, cuts him, and that's it. That's it.
I would say like one of the only good parts about this final episode, like not to say I hated it, I just didn't think it was very strong. It was very like threw everything at you.
There's
like,
lots of action.
Like there's these angels that bring his armor, and like there's just like everything that they said no to in the writing room somehow got snuck into these final last 2 episodes. Yeah. And the saddest part was his ring, Zaraba. Like I don't know why it happened. For whatever reason, he had to throw his ring into like, because they couldn't get their armor beforehand. He threw his ring into this like wherever the armor is, and then these angels brought it, and then Zaraba just broke and pieced out, and they didn't explain it. I was kind of like, oh, he lost his ring, and then literally the next scene, Ray shows up. He's like, hey, I got you a new ring. It doesn't have any of your old settings on it. You're going to have to reset it yourself.
Like a phone, I think you mentioned. Like it's like when you get a new phone and you have to reprogram it.
You got to put all your contacts back in.
Yeah, and that's what he has to do. But I don't know, the biggest disappointment to me was we went through this whole series. Well, I say series, but it was really just
25 episodes.
A season.
24 if you take out 13. That's just a recap.
And it really felt like the ending was rushed. And he's like, I'll be back very soon. I have to go to the northern jurisdiction, but I will be right back. Don't worry, I'm coming back. And she's like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm going to off to Italy, so it's going to be cool. And I'm like, wait a minute. Are you kidding me? We just went through 24 episodes of him like going to the ends of the earth, to hell even, to save this woman. And even though he's like, I've got one last thing to finish up, I will be right back. She's like, I'm going to go to Italy and study art. I'll be back at sometime.
Yeah, Kaoru sucks.
And I'm just like, that's it? This is it?
That's it. She gives him a book. She gives him a present, and it's her dad's book.
Yeah.
And he has apparently never seen this before. And so he like flips through all the pages until he gets to the last one, and we don't see what it is. Kiara told us that it was like all of the cast and crew like wrote like it was very good working with you or something.
It's emotional. He's crying.
Yeah.
Which we never see this character show any sort of emotion.
But
we see some love for Kaoru.
There's no reason for him not to have emotions. Like it would have made more sense if he was like a kid and his dad was training him and he was super emotional and he said like, you can't do this because if you do, you're weak. And then having him finally break down at the end, like, and realize that he's not weak for having emotions, like that. Maybe that's why it saved him. That would have been cool, but he's just crying because it's the last episode.
Yeah. But they never show you what Kaoru actually did for the ending. Which
it's her next drawing. It's Garo with a giant dick.
Oh my gosh! Please.
Sorry.
I don't know. On one hand, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, so that leaves us, the viewers. It's up to us how it ends, how she says it ends.
Apparently, it reveals it in the second season, Kiara said.
Well, I didn't realize that. And so I don't know. I would have liked to have seen it.
Well,
But at the same time, I do like, that like just like how the
ambiguous,
kids, that was such an important part of a few episodes ago where they're kind of setting that groundwork for, hey, it ends however you want it to end. And then they don't show you what Karu has wanted to draw an end or whatever.
maybe it was a picture of him and Zero holding hands.
They're friends now.
That was the end of it. It had like a
Yeah.
little teaser for like season 2, and he's just like in the snow, like pointing his sword at us. It didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
But that was Garo.
I really loved Garo. I will say that
Loved?
because I
thought the first season was kind of rough in a lot of places.
I liked it. I like the darker side, the more adult side of Tokusatsu after seeing, shows that are geared at a younger audience.
Could you imagine Forze fighting a giant naked devil?
He would just try to befriend the devil.
Whoa! Someone put our clothes on. No, I can't do this.
I don't know. I liked that,
Ryunosuke Tono-sama, don't look.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I liked that I could watch it and feel like it was meant for a more mature adult audience. Not that there's anything wrong with, Sentai and Kamen Rider being aimed at,
baby
at
shows.
a younger audience. I just like that this one was like, okay, this is, meant more for adults. It's darker, it's scarier, it's more goth. And as you know, I did dabble in being goth in middle school. So I don't know. I liked it. I'm a big fan of Japanese horror, and this definitely has some nods to that. I'm big into, or at least at one point in my life was big into demonology, and I liked the allusions that it did to actual demonology and hell lore, all that stuff. Like they did their research. It was knowledgeable. I liked it. I also liked the cheesy 2005 graphics. I know that might be a hindrance to other people, but I liked it.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm sitting right here.
I'm sorry. I was a fan. And I liked the storyline. I thought it was a creative storyline. But that being said, I think that the ending was a little bit rushed. It left something to be desired. It makes a little bit more sense knowing that there is a season 2.
But that's a cop-out too.
But yeah.
It needs to finish its story. It can't just rely on everything will be resolved next time. Because it's like you look at Sentai, and they have extra movies like where they come back and do stuff, but they, for the most part, wrap everything up.
Yeah.
Kamen Rider does it, Ultraman does it. So I just feel like that's another hindrance to the show, is that like it crams so much into the final episode and it doesn't even wrap everything up. But
well, I kind of had the same complaint about Shinkenger, where, they go through all of that, and then at the end, they all are just like, well, peace out, we're all going our separate ways. It's the same thing for me with this, where like, to me, he was saving her because he loved her. He realized he does have that emotion, and this is a woman that he's fallen for. And that was his motivation. He felt something human. And then at the end, for them to both be like, well, see ya. I don't know. I wanted more.
it would make sense if she didn't leave, but he had to.
Yeah, and that's the impression I got from him. And he was like, oh, I've got my duty, but I will be right back.
And that's how Shinkenger ends. He's going to continue watching over, but they have lives that they're getting back to finally after a year of pardoning themselves to go and fight as samurai and be retainers. Like they finally don't want to leave, but they know they have to, that they can't stay here forever, that they have lives outside of, the house.
Good for her for also following her dreams. I don't mean to come off as someone who's like, if you find someone, give up on your dreams. That's not what I'm saying. I just feel like after all that history,
you can paint anywhere.
When you're going through like the last 100 days of your life with demons trying to kill you, and then you meet someone special, maybe, I don't know, don't immediately say, well, see you around.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, to Garo, Chapter of the Black Wolf. Is that what it's called? I don't even know.
I just thought it was all called Garo. I didn't realize that there were...
It's got its own like little name because they had to go back and change it.
Yeah, I didn't realize that there were other Garos, which I know is very ignorant on my part.
We here at Tokusatsu Girlfriend are heading to Italy, and goodbye, Garo.
Goodbye, Garo.
We will maybe see you again in the future.
That'd be cool.
What are we moving on to next? So we just did the stream. We just did our season 3, quote unquote, tournament to pick our next season.
And I'm so excited.
What one? What can the listeners be ready for and maybe start watching with us and getting pumped for?
We are going to sparkle with Kiramager. Woo! I'm so excited. That's the one that I secretly wanted to win. I had a top 5 list. I never want to release that, especially around the time of a stream, because I don't want to sway the vote. But Kiramager is really what I wanted to win. So
there's a good clip on our Twitter of you finally realizing 10 minutes after it's been up on the screen that it won.
No one said Kiramager won.
I did.
I didn't hear you.
But
there was a lot going on in my defense, but I'm so excited. It's one that I've been wanting to watch.
So we, again, like I said, if you guys aren't following on Twitter, we are at Tokusatsu Girlfriend or Toku GF, I think it's
is. Tokusatsu GF.
Tokusatsu GF, thank you.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can find us on Twitter as well. Lauren is under Lavender Wave.
With 2 R's.
2 R's. And I am under Squall Charlson with 2 L's. And well, I guess 3 L's because Charles.
Think about it.
I don't know.
Maybe one day
my joke's gone now. A 3rd L?
Yeah.
But then we can't call it Tokusatsu Girlfriend anymore. Yeah, see what I'm doing there? Yeah. But anyway, we are going to be picking this back up. So our next set of episodes that you guys can look forward to and start watching along with us will be Kiramager. It's the Sentai that just ended at the time of this recording. If you guys are on Patreon, we will be doing the first episode. I guess it's episode 0 watch through, and we'll have our live commentary with that. Otherwise, you can expect to hear back from us for episode 0 to episode, I would say, 8.
Okay.
Is episode 0 to episode 8, just because this is a shorter series because of COVID.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
So it didn't get full, close to 50 episodes. But so if you guys are going to be listening and watching along with us, don't go past 8, and we will see you all on the next episode of Tokusatsu Girlfriend.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
Yes, it's good to be back.
Yes, it is.
Woo!